In the early 20th century, a diabetes diagnosis was essentially a death sentence. Patients wasted away, unable to process the food they ate. Then in 1921, something extraordinary happened. Scientists discovered a hormone that would change everything: insulin. But what exactly is insulin? How does it work in the body? And with diabetes on the rise, how can we keep our insulin levels in check? Let's break it down. A brief history of insulin in the U.S. Before insulin was discovered, managing diabetes was almost impossible. Doctors prescribed starvation diets, but patients often didn't survive long. Then, in 1921, Canadian scientists Frederick Banting and Charles Best successfully isolated insulin from a dog's pancreas. By 1922, the first human patient received an insulin injection, and it worked. The next year, pharmaceutical companies started mass-producing it. Today, insulin is one of the most important drugs in the world, but also one of the most controversial, as prices have skyrocketed, making it inaccessible to many. But why do we need insulin in the first place? What is insulin? Insulin is a hormone produced by the pancreas, specifically by the beta cells in an area called the islets of Langerhans. Its job? Regulating blood sugar. Whenever you eat, your body breaks food down into glucose, which enters the bloodstream. Insulin is like a key. It unlocks cells so they can absorb glucose and use it for energy. Without insulin, glucose builds up in the blood, leading to high blood sugar or hyperglycemia. Over time, this can cause serious damage to blood vessels, nerves, and organs. How insulin works. The mechanism of action. Here's how insulin works at the cellular level. 1. Glucose enters the bloodstream. After a meal, carbohydrates break down into glucose. 2. The pancreas releases insulin. Beta cells detect rising blood sugar and release insulin into the bloodstream. 3. Cells absorb glucose. Insulin binds to insulin receptors on cells, triggering glucose transporters to pull glucose inside. 4. Blood sugar returns to normal. With glucose inside cells, blood sugar levels drop back to a healthy range. This process keeps our energy levels stable until something goes wrong. What happens in diabetes? Diabetes happens when this system stops working properly. Type 1. Diabetes. An autoimmune disease where the body attacks beta cells, stopping insulin production entirely. Requires lifelong insulin injections. Type 2. Diabetes. Often caused by insulin resistance, meaning cells stop responding to insulin. The pancreas produces more insulin at first, but eventually it burns out. Linked to diet, lifestyle, and genetics. Without treatment, both types lead to chronically high blood sugar, increasing the risk of heart disease, nerve damage, blindness, and kidney failure. How to prevent diabetes and keep insulin working well. The good news? Type 2 diabetes is largely preventable. Here's how to keep your insulin working properly. 1. Eat a balanced diet. Reduce processed sugars and refined carbs. Increase fiber, protein, and healthy fats. 2. Exercise regularly. Physical activity helps your cells become more sensitive to insulin. 3. Maintain a healthy weight. Excess fat, especially around the abdomen, increases insulin resistance. 4. Manage stress and sleep. High cortisol levels from stress and lack of sleep can disrupt insulin function. Conclusion. The future of insulin has transformed medicine, saving millions of lives since its discovery. But with diabetes cases rising and insulin prices soaring, the challenge isn't just medical, it's political and economic too.